Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. What a week it has been. Another show of political contest between a political godfather and his successor. Well, this time around, we're seeing a successor taking his former principal for a political masterclass. This time he's in Osun State. APC governorship primary was a tough. The rift between the governor, Gboyega Oyetola, and his predecessor, Rauf Aregbesola, as a complicated mix. Because of the tweets of Bola Tinubu, who is the minister's political leader. But in the end, Governor Oyetola emerged victorious over the candidate supported by the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, that is Mr. Moshood Adeoti. It was a direct election, which held on Saturday across the different wards. Here is the pronouncement of the result by the chief returning officer, who happens to be the governor of Kwara State.
Summary result for 2022 direct primary election, Osun State. Adegboyega Isiaka Oyetola, 222,169. 222,169. Yusuf Suleiman Lasun, 460. 460. Adeoti Moshood Olalekan, 12921. 12921. I, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, Chairman, Primary Election Committee, hereby certify that Adegboyega Isiaka Adetola, having secured Oyetola, having secured the highest number of votes cast in the Osun Governorship primary elections held on the 19th of February 2022, and met all the requirements as contained in the guidelines for the election, is hereby declared winner.
That is a pronouncement which turned the former godson, as you may call him, now to the ultimate in a battle that went down to the wires. Now, the winner, Governor Oyetola, has been reacting to the victory. Here is Governor Oyetola's reaction after the announcement of the result.
I thank you all, our party members, for your constant support, and especially for speaking eloquently with your massive votes in favor of our administration, restoration, and conciliation agenda. With this primary election now concluded, I invite us all to dedicate ourselves and the party to deliver an overwhelming victory on the gubernatorial polls holding on Saturday, 16 July 2022. For me, we're all winners. I therefore extend my hand of fellowship to the other aspirants to join me as we prepare for the July election. We're all brothers. Let us join hands to build the Osun of our dream. Let us close ranks and eschew bitterness in whatever form. Therefore, may I use this opportunity to also ask our aggrieved members to have a rethink and join hands with us to further strengthen our party and deliver outstanding results at the gubernatorial polls.
Well, that is Governor Gboyega Oyetola reacting to the outcome of the primary election. Now, the task before him now will be to face squarely the main election, which will not be within his own party and some of the crises that rose, but he will now have to contend with several other candidates across the political party and across the length and breadth of the state. He needs their vote, and there is a degree of vote that is needed for him to be returned as governor if he wants the second term. But some members of the party, that is the APC, in the state, are not happy. especially the Osun Progressives, a group loyal to former Governor Rauf Aregbesola. One of the leaders of the group will be joining me tonight virtually from Osogbo. Well, he will be joining us in a moment, but from our Lagos studio, we have joining us the Chief Press Secretary to the Osun State Governor, Mr. Ismail Omikpidon. Later on, we will be joined by Mr. Kalakpo Alimi, who is a lawyer and one of the leaders of the Osun Progressives. Thank you so much, Mr. Omikpidon, for joining us tonight on the program. Let's begin the conversation with you, and let's get the feelers from your own side, because there was a sharp divide. Of course, from your ranks, there were denial that there were no divisions, but it was obvious that there was a division, which in fact led to some kind of violence that we saw. But what is the effort, if there is any, to reach out to the former Governor Aregbesola? Is your principal thinking in that respect?
Thank you very much. Let me start this way. It wasn't a denial as such. How do I mean? Until probably about a month ago or so, all along we had thought and believed very strongly that those who call themselves members of the Osun Progressives were doing whatever they were doing without the endorsement and the consent of our former governor, the current Interior Minister, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, until I think about 3 weeks ago when he came out openly to say that, incidentally, I was on a program that morning and the same question was put to me. And I stated it clearly that as far as I know and to the best of my knowledge, I am not too sure those who were speaking then were speaking for him or speaking on his behalf. Later that afternoon, he was at a function in Elisha where he stated pointedly that for those who are still guessing as to where he belongs, that this is where he was. And by his own pronouncement on that fateful day, he said that Egbeti Pinsi Meji Losun, meaning that there's a division within the party in the state. So it wasn't a denial per se, but it was based on what we thought was the real situation until it came out. And talking about reaching out, to the best of my knowledge, before the Saturday primaries, my principal and even other leaders of the party did everything within their powers to reach out to our brothers. And from Mr. Governor's acceptance speech, he stated it clearly that the doors of reconciliation is still very open. Let me also place on record that contrary to insinuation in some quarters, my principal did not at any point shut out either the minister or the members of top from the party. For instance, when we were doing the revalidation exercise, I am very much aware that once Chief B.C. Akande had his revalidation done, my principal had his own done, and the next thing, my principal reached out to our former governor. It wasn't as if I was told I was there when the call was made, to request him to make himself available for the revalidation exercise. My principal suggested to him dates, and he told my principal there and then that those days were not convenient for him, as he was going to travel with Mr. President to either Katsina or Kaduna, and that he was going to give my principal 48 hours notice whenever he was ready to have his revalidation exercise. Unfortunately, we didn't hear from him, only for us to hear him from Elisha saying to the public that they were trying to deny him of opportunity to do his revalidation exercise. I thought I should make that point very clear.
All right, but let me ask you, I'm very certain, because before we go into what happened on Saturday and the aftermath of that on Sunday, I'm very sure that you have heard, and your principal probably will have heard, the accusation and allegations coming from the minister Aregbesolah's side of that of betrayal. The allegations were that of betrayal coming from your principal. How is your principal reacting to this kind of allegation?
Well, when you talk about betrayal, I think it is important to probably put before the public the substance or the issues that make up the betrayal. What I've heard from even the minister himself and some of its loyalists were that the current governor, my principal, tried to undermine him by allegedly rubbishing, his legacy. And my attitude to that is that governance should not be about individuals' interests. Governance should be about the collective interests of the generality of the people. And talking about some of the policies, especially that of education, Shegun, thank God you were the one who anchored the governorship debate in 2008 on behalf of Channels Television. And this question about single uniform and what have you was put before my principal on that occasion. And I recall after my principal tried to defend the policy and even give the rationale behind the introduction of the policy in the first instance, you went further to ask him, since it appears the people are not too comfortable with that policy, what will he do if he becomes the governor of the state? And I recall, because I was the political reporter of the Sun at the time, I recall him saying that, well, he believes that there was no policy that was cast in iron, and that if the people wanted the policy to be tinkered with, he would be willing to look at it. Again, let me place on record that of all the candidates who stood for election in 2018, all of them, including the former SSG, Moshood Adeoti, who was the minister's choice for yesterday's election, said publicly that they were going to reverse those policies. It was only my principal that didn't give a categorical statement as far as the policy was concerned. So if you look at it, what that meant was that ab initio, the policy was probably not very popular with the people. And when my principal became the governor, he embarked on a thank you tour to find out from the people what exactly they want the government to do for them. Apart from asking for roads, asking for water, one other thing the people asked for was a reversal of that policy. Again, there was a UK DFID citizen needs assessment exercise that was carried out. Top on the list of the wish list of the people of the state was this issue of a single uniform, a merger of schools and what have you. When we had our first cabinet meeting in November 2019, without prompting, the Ministry of Education came up with about 46 lists of items that they wanted the cabinet to look at that meeting. Top on that list again were this issue of single uniform and what have you. But for Mr. Governor, the cabinet wanted the matter discussed that very day and decision taken. But Mr. Governor said no, that look, why don't we invite experts to help us look at this issue holistically? And that was what led us into setting up the panel led by Professor Oluaina, a foremost educationist. That panel had the former WAEC registrar. It also had Professor Payo Banya, a foremost educationist. It had Lieutenant General Alani Akinade, retired, another statesman from the state. Those were the people who sat down, looked at those policies, and they came up with their recommendations. Part of their recommendations was that Osun was the only state at that time that was running an education policy that was at variance with that of the federal government. And you know, you cannot be an island. And so they recommended that we should go back to the 6334 system as against the one that was introduced. Again, the issue of single uniform, the whole school in the state were to use one single uniform. It was creating issue of security challenge for us because we're being inundated with security reports every now and then.
All right. Let me, because I'll bring in a short while, I'll bring in Mr. Kolakpo Alimi. I guess there has been some difficulties in the connection. But there has been some violence and pockets of attacks that we've seen. The one that was obvious was the attack on the campaign office, the Oromiyan House, which is along Bongon Road in Oshogbo. And allegations are that these are orchestrated by supporters of your principal. How is your principal reacting to it? Why did things degenerate to that point?
Well, Shehu, my reaction to that is that first, if you look at the two characters, do a critical analysis of their personality, interrogate their personality, profile them, I'm sure the outcome, you'll be able to determine who, between the two of them, has capacity for violence, has capacity, to precipitate crisis. You recall that about a week ago or so, there was shooting in the state capital. And the police report is out there in the public. The police report indicted the Minister of Interior that they were the ones who were shooting without provocation. And so, all along, we have tried as much as possible to maintain peace, to maintain law and order in the state. If they had issues among themselves, they should not come and accuse our government of instigating such a violence. Go and check the history of the state very well. In the history of the state, this is the first time for unbroken 3 years, you will not hear of civil unrest, you will not hear of labor unrest, including students' unrest. It is unprecedented in the history of the state. And so, for a man that has been able to live that clean slate, he cannot descend so low to begin to engage in violence. I say to you that even the election we had on Saturday, part of their plans was to instigate violence with a view to discrediting the process. But you know, in any fight, if Mr. A is willing to fight and Mr. B is refusing to provide the opportunity for the fight will never take place. And so, even though they try to provoke some of our supporters, even though they planned for violence, we ensured that we never gave them the opportunity for it to happen. And that was why, in spite of the tension, the election on Saturday came and went as if nothing happened in the state. So it is not correct to accuse our government of precipitating violence.
Okay, so let's talk about, just to give an update, our expectations are that Mr. Kolapo Alimi will be able to join us, albeit the technical issues we're having. We might be able to get reactions on yesterday's exercise. But let me ask you, there are allegations of irregularities from the former Governor Aregbesol's divide, saying that some of the members belonging to their own side, the supporters, were being barred and not allowed into the arena. Materials were snuffed out of circulation to their own side. These are allegations they are claiming are orchestrated by your own side, by your principal, and those who are his supporters.
Well, we had direct primaries. What are the materials they are talking about? You don't need any ballot paper to vote. All you needed to do is go there, check your name, do your accreditation, and queue behind your preferred aspirant. So I don't know which material they are talking about that was being stopped. You see, sometimes people just sit down in the comfort of their rooms and begin to make all manner of allegations. The truth is that they probably never believed that what happened on Saturday would ever happen. But you see, except that they just want to live in the past. Otherwise, in the build-up to these primaries, Mr. Governor didn't take anything for granted. As a matter of fact, in spite of the fact that critical stakeholders from all the 9 federal constituencies had their meeting, sat down, and endorsed Mr. Governor one after the other, he still went ahead to meet with the people one-on-one. He went around all the 30 local governments plus one to seek the support of party members to seek a re-election. So the people who claim that we were not popular, who claim that we never had the party on our side, when they saw the massive support from not only the party members, but also from the traditional rulers, they quickly put what looked like what we were doing together. And that was why you had them in Ijebu-Jesha, you had them in Iwo, and you had them in Ikire. So they were able to visit only 3 places, whereas we went around the whole state. So you cannot expect a man who you cannot fault based on performance, a man who you cannot fault based on comportment, and in spite of that, he didn't take anything for granted. He still went to the people, and you only came about 2 or 3 days to the election, and you want to compete with such a person. It is practically impossible.
Can you react to the alleged hijack of the process? Because they're claiming and they're saying that, look, what happened was that the structure of the exercise itself were dominated by those supporters and those who are on the group or the side of the governor. And so from the beginning, it was skewed against them.
There was a stakeholders meeting on Friday. At the stakeholders meeting was initially slated for 4. From 4, it was pushed 4 to 5. I think we got there about 5 or thereabout. In spite of the fact that, according to the committee, they got the consent of the 2 other aspirants to attend the meeting, we waited for over an hour. As a matter of fact, before the meeting even started, the secretary of the committee said perhaps we should give them another 10 minutes, before we start the stakeholders meeting. And behold, they showed up after the expiration of the 10 minutes. And when they came at the stakeholders meeting, they only raised 2 issues. One, they demanded for a copy of the guidelines, which was obliged them. 2, specifically, the former SSG, Moshood Adeoti, demanded to see the registrar, the party's register. And it was also provided for him. And he went to, incidentally, the one he saw was that of the ward of our former governor. And he went to by himself, and he said, well written. And so, if there was any issue, I believe that it should have been raised at the stakeholders meeting. There was no any reservation. Even at that, when the process started on Saturday, he granted interview to journalists. And he said it clearly that the process was going on smoothly. So at what point did they have a change of mind that something happened with the process? I think they are just crying foul where none existed.
But, I mean, what is the way forward now? Because we understand that they, according to what the conversation and some of the issues that they've raised, they're claiming that they have a watertight evidence that the exercise was rid of too many irregularities. Is your side thinking of reaching out to them? Because if they go forward, it will further divide the party and polarize the already tense atmosphere in your party.
Well, Mr. Governor from the one, in fact, immediately after the World Congress, the local government and that of the state Congress, Mr. Governor, before the national headquarters of the party set up its National Reconciliation Committee, Mr. Governor set up his own Reconciliation Committee. And even when the local government caretaker committee chairman were sworn in, Mr. Governor charged them to ensure that they reach out to aggrieved members of the party. So at every point in time, Mr. Governor does not miss the opportunity of ringing it to the ears of our party leaders, to our party stakeholders, on the need to bring people together. Yesterday, or early this morning rather, when he was reading his assessment speech, he stated it clearly that for him, we are all winners, and that he's inviting those who contested with him to join hands with him so that together we can build Osun of our dreams. So we have never, for one day, foreclosed reconciliation. But you see, what we say is that there must be sincerity of intention. They must be genuine, with their reconciliation. And so we are not foreclosing reconciliation. We believe very strongly because ordinarily, if we go by media reports, what they said was that if they carry the day, we will support them. That's after the primaries. And as if we carry the day, they will support us. So I expect them to walk their words by supporting us since we have carried the day as far as the outcome of the contest is concerned. In any case, we don't see them as enemies. We see them as brothers and sisters, and we believe that before the July election, majority of them will come back home, if not all of them.
All right. Ismail Omipido is the Chief Press Secretary to the Osun State Governor Boyega Oyetola. Thank you so much, Mr. Omipido, for your time tonight. Unfortunately, we made our efforts to connect with Kolakpo Alimi, who is a lawyer and a member, one of the leaders of the Osun Progressives, who is a group, the group lawyer to the Minister of Interior and former Governor of Osun State, Rauf Aregbesola. But hopefully, we might be able to get their own side some other time. But thank you so much, Mr. Mipidon. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, the state of affairs of the APC gets our attention next. The party is supposed to hold a national convention, but it does look like there is some silence. What is behind all of this silence? Cletus Obun and Alwan Hatsan, both of them will join us. It's a murky state of affairs is looking like in the APC. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the program. Now, let's focus on what is happening in the ranks of the APC. The All Progressives Congress has slated its national convention for the 26th of this month. That is next Saturday. But it appears with the look of things, it looks like that may not be feasible. This is because today is the 20th of February, 6 days before that date that was fixed. It means that completed forms and accompanying document should have been submitted by those vying for office. And the publication of subcommittees is also slated for the 19th of February, that is yesterday. All these are just on paper. No sign, practical sign, or physical sign of those activities in place, not even the purchase of funds. At least that is much we know. Also, screening of all aspirants vying for national offices was slated for between 20th and 22nd of February 2022. As I said, nothing in that regard has been done. Governors of the party were supposed to meet with President Muhammadu Buhari on some of the details of how to go about this exercise and some decisions related to the elections and all of that. But that did not happen as the president had to jet out to Belgium on an official assignment. The worst part of the scenario is the lack of communication on the side of the CPC of the party on the state of things and the reason for the stall in the activities. If nothing is going to happen, there must be reasons. But some party members have alleged that the leadership of the party just kept mute and they have no information in that respect. And for some of the activities which are supposed to lead to the convention. Amidst all of these confusion are some controversies which are now raging and have gone viral. One of such is a group in the APC which addressed a press conference, and some of the issues raised are quite intriguing. And I felt, look, some of these, that video has gone viral. We covered that press conference, and I wanted to show you a part of that press conference, and we'll take our conversation from there. Take a listen to that press conference.
Governor Mohamed Badaru, as I've just said before, Abaka of Jigawa State, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Governor Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State, and other desperate allies that includes serving ministers have perfected plans to ensure that Senator Sani Musa is imposed as AP's national chairman, alongside other lackeys that will be named to their position at the convention. Senator Sani Musa would in turn deliver Bagudu as APC presidential flag bearer and Kayode as his running mate. They have cooked up what they call unity list, very funny, to package their evil plot as something positive and desirable for the party and the country when the contrary is in the case. We want APC stakeholders and Nigerians to know that these state governors are working against the interest of the country. As things stand, we are collectively staring a full-blown state capture in the face as this band of governors paid a nocturnal visit to the presidential villa last Friday night with their purported unity list. At this point, it is fair to point out that the Attorney General of this federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abaka Malami, is with them, alongside a few unpatriotic ministers that are equally playing the overlords in states that are not controlled by the APC.
There are very strong allegations, names being mentioned, issues being raised, which are very intriguing and controversial. Of course, in the next few days, we should be hearing officially from some of these persons that their names have been mentioned in this respect. It is an APC internal affairs, and that's why we want to bring different voices in the party, different divide to weigh in on this matter. And so we have joining us from our Kano studio, Alwan Hassan, a member of the APC, and here in our Abuja studio is Mr. Cletus Osun, the chieftain of the APC also. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. Let me begin from our Kano studio. Mr. Hassan, what exactly is going on? You heard that press statement and those allegations that are being made. You know better because you are an insider. What is going on?
Sheun, there has to be a party before someone contests. We have to have the platform. As it stands today, the party is about to be killed. The caretaker committee we brought in to take care of the party has failed in all its tasks. And all we see now is Maima Alabuni determined to disgrace the president. They don't even want to have the convention. They want to postpone it. This is 6 days to 26th. He announced 26th. This is 6 days to 26th. And we don't even have any subcommittee to properly manage and conduct the convention. Then he's not sincere. My problem is not who becomes the chairman. I don't have an interest in anybody that becomes the chair. I want us to have a formidable platform so that we will not apply or have a Zamfara state in the national in 2023.
Okay, so what do you know that is happening in respect of the National Convention? Why is it not? Why I've listed the activities that are supposed to have come before now, but all of those are not happening. Do you have an idea of why this is not happening?
Yeah, because he doesn't want to go. Sheun, he doesn't want to go. Maimala Buni does not want to leave the party.
When you say he doesn't want to go,
the party platform.
The person
he's using the party platform to collect money from people that are contesting. That is what he does. I'll give you an example.
Those are strong allegations.
On Thursday, there was an appeal.
That's a very strong. You need to have an evidence to allege that a sitting governor
hold on, let me talk.
Money. It's a strong allegation that you need to substantiate.
Listen to me, Sheun. When the court case came, when the judgment of appeal court came on Thursday, and it was in the favor of Kano State Governor. And the Kano State Governor now asked Maimala to issue a certificate of return to the substantive party chairman of Kano State. Do you know what he said? He requested for money. He requested the governor gives him money before he issued the certificate. Is that not?
Are you privy? Just a moment. No.
Is that?
No. So when you're speaking in that respect, just a moment. If you are speaking in that respect, because you're threading on the line of false accusation, if you don't have evidence to that
it's
fact,
not false.
if you're not privy to the conversation,
it's not false.
It's not about it's about what you can substantiate.
The governor of Kano State is alive. Oh dear, His Excellency the Governor of Kano State is alive today. Maimala Buni is alive. You could ask from them. He requested for money. to inaugurate that. This man is bent on disgracing the president. I am telling you, Sheun, he's not going to conduct this convention. He is bent in killing the party. He doesn't care what come of it. He wants to go to the presidential primaries so as to use the party platform to bargain for a vice president. That is what he's doing.
All right. Let me get another view. Mr. Obun, how do you react to the situation?
I think coming on air to make this very wild allegation, these are things we used to do as student union activists. When you start calling the name of a governor, Ganduje, and a sitting governor of Yobe State, who is only an acting national chairman of a political party, it's very infantile, it's so juvenile, it's so jocular. It makes the whole thing look pedestrian. And I'm shocked that somebody will sit and make this type of allegations against a party he claims to love so much. If anybody is going to destroy the president, it is those who are not taking the political issues and making them look as if we are in a chemistry laboratory in which chemicals are supposed to respond in a particular manner. I ask you, I am from Cross River State. 8 states, as we speak today, 8 states are going to contest by-elections on the 26th of February. Between the National Constitution of Nigeria, the Constitution of Nigeria as amended, the Electoral Act, and the party constitution of APC, which is superior, under Section 3 of the Nigerian Constitution, every other law that comes in confrontation with the Constitution of Nigeria bows to that Constitution. If INEC, acting on the basis of a subsidiary, a subsistent, and a consequential legislation like the Electoral Act, which is granted an offshoot of the ground norm, which is the Constitution, says you have an election on the 26th. Anything APC is doing, so we have to bow to it.
Is that the reason why the convention is not hold on 26th?
It's one of the plethora of reasons. Number one of them, for instance, I want to contest for national chairman. I'm from Cross River South. I want to contest for the national chairmanship. And you say there's an election on the 26th in Cross River State. I'm a stakeholder. I want to win that election to keep my party on. And you say I should leave the election in Cross River State, federal house and a state house election, 2 by-elections, and come to Abuja to be a national officer of a party that has no body in the national assembly.
I'll ask you this question, Mr. Obun, just a moment. On the day that the date was fixed, the election date by INEC has been fixed before your party fixed that date.
No, sir. Please,
Mr. Obun, just a moment.
Yes.
Because on this same program, I asked members of your party, and when they came here and that date came up, I said that date is clashing with an existing election date. And I asked that question. And that's the reason why I'm asking. Isn't your party privy to that date, which had come before the date of the election, the date of your convention?
As I speak to you, as at the point of fixing the date of 26th, if anybody, including our, had known that and knew it, why would you want to put a national convention on the same date with a by-election date that is taking place in 8 states?
The allegation is that why is your party keeping quiet about it? The leadership is not talking.
No. If you say the leadership should come, this is not a market.
Today is Sunday. It's 6 days before the convention.
No.
Should there have been an official communication that
when that meeting with the president failed, when that meeting with the president clashed with the president traveling, that meeting didn't take place where they were to seek that and come out with a resolution. As we speak, several meetings are taking place. The Progressive Governors Forum, which is assuming the position of the National Executive Committee of APC, a body unknown to our constitution, begins to take positions and begins to fly into the social media space to fly positions of we have zoned, we are about to zone, we are not zoning. You clearly know that there is something wrong. So if anybody is going to undermine the president, it is those who don't want to listen to the president. If we have conceded to the president, for example, to dissolve the Adam Oshimole executive, and we now moved on to say, please give us a direction on what is to happen, and that meeting didn't take place, and the man traveled, and he's back today or yesterday, and he's to meet with them, are you going to put that on a Memala executive and turn around to say he collected money?
Just a moment.
How much is the money?
Let me bring back...
how much is the money that Memala will be asking for?
Let me allow Alwan to come in. I played a video earlier, Mr. Hassan, and I'd like you to respond to some of the heavy allegations that were raised in at that press conference in the video we played earlier. Would you like to respond to them?
Sheung, please, let me respond to what he has said. It's a shame that somebody will come on a platform like this to defend Mai Mala Buni. Before he announced 26th February as the chairman caretaker committee of our party, he should have gone through an empty day and see what INEC has as a timetable for the party. It was deliberate, Sheung. He deliberately did that. You understand? To undermine and disgrace the president. He did that deliberately. I'm telling you, Sheung, these are his plans. And I'm telling you, if he's given the opportunity to form another day, he will put another crisis on another day. That is what he does. I'm telling you. See, it's just so sad and annoying. You have a semi-illiterate person occupying an office that is designed and made for a lion. I'm telling you, it is unfortunate, very
so when
unfortunate
you say someone is
embarrassing.
semi-illiterate,
It's a shame
please,
to Memala.
let's be careful
Memala has turned out. Let me tell you, Memala has turned out to be a disgrace, to the northern Nigeria. I'm telling you, Sheung, we are ready for him. We're already galvanizing and mobilizing people. We're ready for him. We would not allow him. We would not allow him to disgrace the president and kill our party. That is what he's determined to do, and we know it. I'm telling you, he's a disgrace and a shame to the northern Nigeria.
Let me allow, since you're here, I'd like you to respond to that.
Now, you see, when there is the end of argument and civility is thrown to the wings, it shows exactly who is more primitive. You cannot say a man with a master's degree. You cannot say a man who was voted governor, a man who has held positions in his state before he became governor, a man whom his colleagues sat down with the president of Nigeria and made to come and midwife a process of bringing a national convention is a semi-literate. There can be nothing more illiterate and primitive than that kind of pronouncement on national television. Now, having dismissed that, we want to ask ourselves, what qualifies a man to be governor and all that? It's diversion of the issues. What we are here to discuss is, will there be a convention or not? That is what APC members. I sat on this program once and told you that if we don't have a convention, that we are going to have a crisis. But on the evolution of issues as they come, I ask you on three bases. Number one, is it just enough to have a convention? And as we sit today, there are 13 states embroiled in crisis and sitting in court. These people talking about convention are the very people waiting with machetes and gudgels and AK-47s in the name of cases to be in court to challenge anybody who is coming to be national chairman.
So let's clarify this.
Yes.
So what's the story going around about 12th of March? Is it a new date, or what is the state of things right now?
Until the meeting with the president takes place on Tuesday, which is what, if in the first place, happened that made the national executive not to bring out the timetable that was proposed. There was a proposal by the caretaker committee to the president, and they were all to go and meet the president and say, this is the proposal of what we have in terms of zoning, in terms of this. Can Mai Mala as a person unilaterally sit over the 22 or 21 governors, progressive governors, with even Badaru, even, Bagudu of Kebbi, and even the Governor Fayemi of Ekiti State as Governors Forum chairman? Can he unilaterally stand a first-time governor and sit back to say, this is the date I chose?
Because there are other issues. I asked a question which, Alwan, you didn't answer. It's about the video that I played earlier and some of the allegations that are now very much of a controversy in the party. Allegations that some people are entrenching themselves in the party. Would you like to react to that?
Entrenching themselves. What the press conference is saying, Sheung, is they are picking on a candidate and taking him to the president. That is what they are saying. It is very okay. I don't have a problem with that, Sheung. Everybody has the right to choose who he wants to support. There is no problem. Even if we have a convention today, you have to rally around governors. They have to have someone that they like or they trust, or someone that has campaigned to them. But it's fine. That is fine and very okay for the governors to go or pick someone to support as the party chairman. That is not the issue. That is not the problem. The problem is, do we have the platform? Do we have the party? Sheung, in November, I'll remind you of this. When the governor of Jigawa State, Kebbi, and Mai Mala Buni went to see the president on the shift in December to February. It was 5th of February they told the president. When they came out, if you could play back, Channels Television interviewed Jigawa State Governor. He said they proposed 5th of February and the president approved it. But suddenly we saw Memala in women's ICC, women's program, announcing 26th of February. That means he has gone back to check and saw that there was going to be a by-election in Cross River and Ondo State. And this is why he is coming to do this. I am telling you, Sheun, these are how many local governments? There are like 4 or 5 local governments in the 2 states. We are talking about 774 local governments. Are we sick? The whole thing is a mess.
All right.
I'm telling you, Sheun.
Let me ask.
We will not look at it.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Obun, how do you react to that video and some of the allegations raised in that video?
Precisely where I wanted to take off from. You see, when he says it doesn't matter, these are 3 governors that were named: Kebbi, Ekiti, and Jigawa. They brought a list. There are another set. 3 sets of governors have brought 3 lists. The president is being blackmailed, boxed into a corner to take a decision. I will not be surprised, and the president must not allow himself to be blackmailed as it has always happened into, for example, doing what he did with the Oshomole executive. He will be now asked by these same people, oh, now that there's a crisis, different sets of governors say, dissolve the caretaker committee. Please proceed and bring us somebody who will do national convention. Precipitating more crisis than ever. There are going to be 3, there are already 3 existing lists. We only had this one, this group that you are hearing here, which is now claiming that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to him that 3 governors are sitting back to superimpose themselves on over 17 other governors.
That the allegations are that one wants to be president,
precisely
one wants to be vice president.
It is these interests, these narrow slots of interest that are beginning to play out and making the president...
How will that play out even if that happens? Is it that there's going to be a consensus and these people are going to be named? Because the person that has been named in that is the North. Has your party decided to zone to the North?
Precisely. Zoning issues were to be discussed with the president last week. When it didn't take place, they have fixed it for Tuesday. And rather than wait for it, these people are jumping, they're gone preempting and overshooting themselves and overreacting to these issues because they have an agenda that is purely personal to them. If they are not president and governor and national chairman, they want to plant a chairman who will give them a president. Once that is not happening, Memala is to blame. He must go to the gutters. The president must be blackmailed. He must be boxed. He must be cajoled. He must be arm twisted into taking decisions in their favor. Yet, this president had before today taken decisions that everybody applauded. Now they want to go through the back door. They've gone to see him 3 times. 3 sets of governors.
Who are these?
You had his first 3 sets of governors. Mm-hmm. Another set of governors had also attempted to see him, in which he was already on his way to Belgium, and he couldn't see them. As we talk now, some of them are already in Transcorp meeting to also again force another list, which they are calling unity list, another one saying consensus list, or to bring as zoning. Now, why will you be talking zoning at this point when the president himself, on 3 occasions, first in Ogun State, at another time in another state, Akwa Ibom also, in Imo State, and said, look, vote for me as president and vote for the governor of your choice. The president, under Oshomole, had come out to say, anybody who is aggrieved can go to court. When Oshomole's executive said, look, our constitution forbids you going to court without exhausting the internal mechanism, the president came out to counter him. This president has been open to say, give a level playing ground because I have suffered this type of suffocation and political asphyxiation. We cannot continue like that and claim it is democracy.
All right.
You can't do 2 sets of rules for democracy.
Let's wrap up now. Let me get Alwan's take on this. What is a way forward for your party? It does look like a quagmire on your hands, a murky situation that the party has found itself.
Yes. The best solution for us now is to dissolve the Memala committee and reconstitute another committee to give us a convention. He has failed in every task that was given to him. He should be dissolved and a proper committee should be inaugurated and given a very short timeline to deliver.
Precisely. They are precipitating the crisis.
All right. So, Mr. Obun, what's your own solution?
I had predicted him, so you can see where he's going to. So this is precisely where they are up to. Dissolve it and bring another one.
So
that
what's
one will
your
not
own solution?
The solution is simple. We have a sitting executive which has midwifed this process that we've seen more defections into the party, which has brought more political profit to the party. in a manner that we now need to consolidate. Rather than consolidate, they're asking for dissolution. They ask for the. Our solution now is to allow Memala midwife this process because, one, 5 court judgments had favored him as a substantive chairman. What that means is that we need him to sit back and midwife this process that will be unassailable, that will be unlitigatable. That is to say, nobody can go to court to challenge it because, first, what the courts have done is to ensure that he has a clean slate and then to go out and play. So there must be a level playing ground for everybody in the party to feel satisfied. That
Cletus Abun and Alwan Asen, members and chieftains of the APC. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I dare say that this week is going to be perhaps one of the most difficult and one of the weeks that will decide the future of the ruling APC. And I wish your party the very best. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Akim Ale. Enjoy the rest of your evening.